So coming up today, we're going to talk about what do you do when you're faced by serious crisis situations, when things are really tough. And what is this transparent leadership thing, and why should you actually give a hoot? And I'm here with my great friend, Dr. Frank Hagenau. Hey, Frank.
Hi, Evan. How are you doing?
Great. So today we want to talk about, for people who are in crisis situations, which happens all the time in business, but it's happening right now. We can be very tempted to try and sugarcoat things to make things sound a little bit better. But you have some great ideas about why transparent leadership is an important idea and it has a human effect that really, really counts. So what is this transparent leadership thing, Frank?
Yeah, transparency means showing what you know and showing what you are not knowing at the moment. So people will trust you more than they will as you would sugarcoat the situation.
No, I think you're 100% right. We had a lovely, for instance, in recent times here in Ireland, we have a Prime Minister, a fellow called Leo Varadkar. And talk about a fellow who wasn't trusted just 3 months ago because we had an election where they got trounced. I think it was like 20% of people said, oh, yes, you should be Prime Minister now. But 6 weeks later, because he has been so transparent about this coronavirus thing, where he told people exactly what's happening, when it's going to happen, how we're going to get out of it, that he has gone to 35% of people who now think he should be Prime Minister, which is more than anybody else in a very desperate place. So truth is that it does cause people to have a human reaction, but what is it that causes us to fall over if we try to make things sound better than they actually are? So in other words, why do people not respond well to what is glossy or nice, flowery kind of reaction?
I think there are two aspects. The one aspect is, of course, we'd like things turn out better, and we like to get over a crisis as soon as possible, of course. But on the other hand, we know sometimes things are not that simple, and in deep within us, we know, okay, sometimes things won't become so easily so well again. And so this is also the situation why leaders in crisis have a good chance and good opportunity to raise in the eyes of their audience or their citizens by dealing with honesty and transparency with the situation.
As you were talking there, I was just thinking about some Facebook things I saw this morning. Now, I realise this would be a little bit dated. At least my pals were living over in Britain, and they had their Prime Minister get on to the television last night, and he said, look, we're coming out of this coronavirus thing, and so you don't have to stay at home any longer. Just be alert. And people are saying, what? I mean, what? I have no idea what you're talking about, and so I'm glad you've told me that. Well, basically, this told him nothing. So,
yeah, and as you might have seen the situation with this huge parade which took place in Belarus the other day, because they were celebrating the defeat of Nazi Germany, and this is a really huge event, all in the eastern part there in the states of the former Soviet Union. But even Russia decided to cancel this parade here, and Putin just had a very narrowed celebration there. And in Belarus, they had this whole huge parade because the leader, Alexander Lukashenko, he decided, no, we are going to celebrate our victory anyway. And there was no social distancing whatsoever. And we will see what is going to happen from that.
Oh no. So what are the human effects of a transparent leadership? So now if you think about how people respond to a leader who is not trying to make things sound better or brighter, but giving people better information.
I think in the eyes of people, he is more trustworthy because he's not telling any white lies or any nice stories I'd like to have, and he's not getting into this temptation of wishful thinking and we'd like to have the things better now. But staying to the facts, and sometimes leading means you have to tell uncomfortable truths, and unpopular decisions had to be made.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was just thinking, you know, you and I were talking earlier on about, you know, if you're trying to operate where you don't have good information, that it can be very challenging. You know, it would be, but like somebody saying, listen, I want you to deliver this lorry full of very, very delicious food, but it has to be in a supermarket down the Autobahn, and you're an hour away from there. Can you go at 150 kilometers an hour, and incidentally you don't have a proper windscreen?
Yeah,
you're going to have a sense of humor failure, aren't you?
Yeah. Yes, of course. And sometimes things are not possible in the way we would like to have it, and finding a solution and being honest with this truth is something which distinguishes the transparent leadership from someone who is trying to hold things back or to cover them with sugarcoat.
Yeah. Well, if there was one thing more than anything else that a leader could do to really up how transparent their leadership is, what would that one thing be?
In this current situation, or even if you have a similar crisis, or hopefully not that serious one, there is always insecurity, and you do not have the next solution on your hands immediately. And so I think the main thing might be to be in contact with experts, with professionals, with your team. It's more about listening and understanding than telling things you won't know either.
Yeah. So in other words, ask a hell of a lot more than you tell people.
Yeah, and of course you have to make the decision maybe at the end, but it's more about collecting information and taking small steps, because you can't have this huge step because you do not know what is going to happen next.
I think that's exactly right, which is when you're in uncertain times, you have to make some decision, but sometimes you're going to have to revisit that again and again. And as long as people know that, it's much easier to run with that. And actually, that's a perfect segue to encourage you all to watch our next quick video when we get into precisely how you can make it easier for people to consider what you do to be transparent and why it really matters. Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, Emma.